¿Cuál abriste? ¿El tuyo? ¿El de el que dice 10:15 o el de Vicente que era a las 9:30? Es que me pediste el de, ¿cómo se llama? Me pediste también el de Vicente, entonces te mandé el de Vicente, por eso tienes dos. Ahorita tienes que entrar al que dice, al que tiene el título más largo, y es el de las 10:15. Pero no importa, estamos a tiempo, tranqui. El de Vicente ya se acabó.
Listo.
Hola.
Hello, ahora sí, ¿verdad?
¿Cómo estás? Sí.
Bien, bien.
A ver, tu pin, qué padre, ¿es un destapadorcito?
Sí, un descorchador.
Está padrísimo.
Gracias.
Está muy padre, está muy padre. ¿También tienes colección de screw, de descorchadores? Digo, porque a mí me
No.
encanta. ¿No? Yo sí colecciono wine keys. A ver.
Ah, mira. Pues no, no tengo tal colección, pero el pin me gusta. En lugar
Qué
del,
bueno.
en lugar del
Entonces,
cenicero.
voy a compartir, para que antes de que lleguen las personas,
Ah,
hay de todos lados, de Washington y de exponentes que son el principal público, pero había también invitados hace un rato. Nada, ¿dónde está la presentación? Shift Design. Y ya después pensé, dije, ¿cómo no los pusimos en una sola liga de puro jalón todos juntos?
pues sí.
Pero bueno, ahora sí, so share content, ahí está ya. Hacer los ajustes ahorita de a quién ves. Bueno, lo que pasa es que tienen que llegar todos para que veas, para que tú acomodes tu.
Ujú.
¿Estás con la
Pero,
APLI o con el navegador? Creo que con la APLI es mejor, ¿no?
híjole, te miento, no sé con cuál estoy. Pero, te voy a decir. Pero ahí tú tienes que irle moviendo, ¿no?
Yo le voy a mover. Yo le voy
Ah, ok.
a todo, pero si quieres te doy la mano y tú, lo que vamos a hacer es que cuando quieras que cambie, porque hay un pequeño lapso, and in the next slide we will see, bla, 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 así como una introducción, discreta.
Ujú. ¿Tú me presentas o nada más llego yo ahí solito?
Yo te presento, soy muy mala locutora, pero puede tener todo en la vida. Y esto obviamente ya está grabando. A ver, déjame ver si está grabando. Sí. Entonces al rato yo cuando lo downloade voy a cortar las conversaciones y ya nada más ahorita como un minuto antes ya no decimos nada para que tenga yo cancha para hacer el corte y ya empezar. ¿Ok?
Ok.
A ver, ojalá que se conecten los demás.
Pero entonces, ¿cómo le vas a pasar tú?
Yo aquí se lo paso, aquí te lo.
No, no, pero ¿cómo vas a cambiar?
¿Cómo voy a cambiar qué, perdón?
O sea, ¿cómo vas a saber cuándo cambiarle? Ahí nomás como vaya yo
Oh, tú
diciendo.
me dices. Tú vas platicando y con una frase introductoria, in the next slide I will show you bla, 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 o Dil, could you please move to the next slide, o lo que quieras. Tú me dices. Están padres las fotos. Abrió el apetito. Anoche nada más cené sopa y ahorita ya estoy que me tragaría yo las cortinas, hijo. No, estas fotos, vas a ver, las van a... Padrísimo, súper bien. Sabes que no los estoy descubriendo ahorita, no lo pude ver ayer, ¿eh? Ay,
¿Así?
las tienditas. Ay, sí, cómo me extraño esas tienditas, caray. En vez de los Oxxo que me caen tan gordos. Son prácticos, pero sí, Ay, ¿dónde es? ¿Esto es en Baja California?
Sí, este es de Cantos. Es una nueva
Ajá.
colonia.
Wow. No, hombre, el restaurante está tiburrado.
Ujú.
Bueno,
Y la vinícola está abajo.
sí.
Santo Tomás fue la primera gravedad.
Históricamente hablando.
Ajá, este es Alquimia, que está espectacular, es una locura.
¿Es biodinámica? No. Alquimia, no, ¿verdad? Ese nombre y las estrellas pensé que podía ser, pero no.
No,
Old World Tradition. Wow. Bueno,
este
ahorita
es el
nos...
sótano de Moldavia.
¿Esto es en Moldavia?
Ajá,
¿Es la más larga? ¿Es la cava más larga?
exacto, es la del Guinness.
Ok. La había visto, pero no desde esa perspectiva. O sea, visto en fotos.
Ujú.
Súper. Bueno, me voy a regresar porque ya merengue van a empezar a entrar y no les vamos a hacer el spoil. Ay, very good, very good, very good. Te digo, al rato que tenga yo lista la de Vicente, la voy a compartir, la vamos a compartir en el evento y luego también en el YouTube de la PBSA. Y si tú tienes alguna cuenta YouTube o eso, también te paso el fichero para que lo uploades también de tu lado.
No, luego no, nada más me
¿La
pasó.
quieres la liga? ¿La pura liga?
Ujú.
Ok. Sale, vale. Sale, vale, sale, vale. Traigo un dolor de espalda, eso ya es el estrés. Sí.
Sí, seguro.
¿Y hoy qué actividades tienes? Tienes que
Nada
hacer
más esta, hoy sí,
nada
ayer
más.
tuve una cata de un vino con fondue, antier mi clase, hoy nada más tengo esta.
¿Qué sirvieron? ¿Qué quesos eran los de la fondue? De los típicos, Emmental,
No, te mandan ya el sobrecito del fondue,
Ah,
pero
ya, ok. Y luego te paso una receta y tú la haces y vas a ver es lo mejor del mundo. En una cazuela gorda, le embarras, agarras un ajo y le embarras toda la cazuela, le embarras el ajo.
ajá.
Y luego cortas gruyere y pues el otro queso así como tipo mozzarella y los pones a fundir.
Mm,
Y
sí,
le puedes poner, le puedes dar tantito sabor, y eso es lo que hacía mi papá, le ponía licor de cereza, tantito kirsch,
sí, el quiche, exacto. A mí, ¿sabes qué
tantito.
me gusta ponerle? Lo que te iba a decir, un poquito de jerez.
O
Jerez
Jerez
seco.
quedaría re bien, nunca lo he probado con eso, pero así pensándolo quedaría de pelos.
Delicioso, porque el quiche es muy dulce, pero el jerez seco le da
Sí,
un
lo
toque.
que pasa es que la fondue viene de la montaña y entonces si quieres es lo que llamamos un pairing regional, lo hacen con lo que tienen, pero sí es verdad que hacerlo con Jerez quedaría genial.
Sí, a mí me encanta el toquecito de cereza. Y el ajo, bueno, claro, por supuesto.
Y el ajito, sí. Y eso con pan y luego ensalada y un buen vinito. ¿Qué vinito utilizaron? ¿Tipo de Savoie o lo hicieron con Jerez? ¿O cómo le...?
No, no, ayer fue con un tinto de Parras, el que yo estoy distribuyendo.
Ok,
Eran de los de, ay, ¿cómo se llama esto? Es Santander, los aseguradores de Santander. Entonces era para todos sus vendedores regionales, algo así. Entonces les mandaron su kit de vino y el fondue.
ok,
Y bien, pues eran 48 me parece.
súper. Bueno,
Sí,
ya son 14. Ya mandé una notificación al salón para que se conecten.
ok.
Entonces,
De todas maneras tienes el WhatsApp, ¿verdad? Porque también por el WhatsApp te puedo decir que le cambies ahí cualquier cosa.
pero pues vas a perder
No,
en, hola Hugo, vas a perder en calidad, sí, no, me dices next y voilà.
ok.
Hugo is working with us, and he's preparing the Wine and Spirits Education Trust #3.
So he's a wine student and he's a mixologist, right, Hugo?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Hello. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So if Zekla, how do you pronounce it? Zekla or Skla? I
Sklar.
need help. Skla?
Sklar. Es
Skla.
Sklar.
Skla, a la Polish.
Yeah, actually it's Polish.
Okay, Skla.
Sklar.
So we can wait for the others, or no, let's start and they will join because it's already 16.
Sure.
Ese es mi lado cuadrado, que soy muy, ando en la guerra con los horarios, pero tengo que relajarme.
Pues sí.
Y más en México.
Un par de minutitos, no pasa nada. Oye, y bueno, había yo pensado las preguntas, si quieren ir haciendo o las dejamos todas al final, porque digo, no pasa nada si quieren ir preguntando también.
Pues se puede comentar, mira, por el chat, como hice hace un rato, por aquí. Hello, everyone.
Ándale, sí, en el chat me pueden ir
Okay.
poniendo.
Entonces, así, pues tú las puedes ver. Entonces, ahorita esa instrucción vamos a dar. Ok. A ver, déjame ver. Déjame ponerles un recordatorio. Acaba de salir, pero... Hello, Enrique. So who else is with us? And Nicolas, again. Bonjour, Nicolas.
Bonjour Gil, hola, ¿todo bien?
Todo bien. ¿No se te ha olvidado el español? Y so you know, Nicolas lived in Mexico City for a few, let's
months.
say what, years or months?
Month.
Months? Okay. Yeah.
So I try to find importers in Mexico, and anyway, it's an interesting market.
Yeah.
So I was representing a Champagne house, Saint-Emilion house, another house from Provence, and different producers from Burgundy.
Okay.
Okay, so I think that we can start now.
Okay.
Okay, so welcome to Yves Schlar. He's a certified sommelier. He also has an e-commerce, and he's a wine educator. He's also an actor, so he's also an entrepreneur. So, am I forgetting something, Yves? Welcome. The stage is for you.
Thank you. Hi, yes, I'm a sommelier, chef, and entrepreneur and everything. Thank you very much. And well, I'm gonna talk to you about bringing wines to Mexico. Try to understand the Mexican market, not as I thought before with Adele, how to do it. Not that part. Most like understanding the markets here, understanding culture, to help you with the tools you need to bring the wines that we're looking, or the wines that are more connected to the food, and you can have more exposure and more selling according to our taste, culture, and food, of course. So to understand Mexico, we have to understand a little bit of a country and a culture. Wine is very difficult in Mexico. It's seen as an alcoholic drink, not as a part of a culture baggage in the country. We have had many things in history that has download the wine consumption. And these days you can go to a store and you ask for a wine and they give you a spirit. They don't see wine as a different thing. They see it as an alcoholic. And as an alcoholic drink, it's a bit of forbidden. It's just like the devil, no? So we don't have that cultural baggage of wine since we're kids, or wine in the meals. Instead of it, we have all the sodas in the meals. That is worse than wine. So that being said, Mexico is a country of hard traditions, culture. If you can change the slide. We have very strong traditions in food, in all since the pre-Hispanic traditions, the dances, the music, the celebrations, all that stuff, and none of there was wine involved. Never. Probably some spirits, some mezcal, but never wine was part of it, any traditions. So as a strong tradition culture, it's hard to bring up the wine on the table with all this. The story of the wine in Mexico started with the Spanish colonization. They bring the wine. We had before something similar, that it was fermented from fruits, but it wasn't wine. So we took it, but not as much as other countries. And these days, Mexican food is very complex, very spicy, and wines are sometimes difficult to mix with the food. So that's another issue that we have to think about it. So we have the cut of the vineyards. Then we have a lot of not a lot of support from the government, not even today, for wine production. And actually, in the 1980s, 1990s, the only wine that we used to have was Spanish or French wine. So most of our culture we have in wine is Spain wines, Spanish wines and French wines. And that is a little bit as, like I said, for the food is not the best. We also have to deal with part of these traditions are, of course, involve always the church. Mexico is a hard Catholic place, and church sees wine as, like I said, like the devil. Wine is only for mass, and it's only for the priest, and that has been since the colonization from Spain, and that was one of the reasons they have to cut all the vineyards in Mexico, because they don't want to sell the wine open if it wasn't in Spain. So starting for there, all the religious, all the faith in Mexico goes against wine, and people are very religious in that part. And I don't know if you see this slide. They have strong campaigns with kids against alcohol, and as wine is considered alcohol, not wine, is included in that campaigns. So it's not like Europe that you give kids wine. Here is very bad scene, but you can give them a Coke. That is perfectly okay here, which I think is worse and is more dangerous to the health. And the slide you see, there's a wine store, and in the wine store you can go here and you ask for a wine, and they say yes, wines, and they give you tequila, they give you rum, but they don't see actually the word wine. They associate it with all the spirits. All the spirits is wine for Mexican people. They don't see wine as a different thing. They see a part of the spirits, which that's part of the culture too. You see, that's a strong campaign which says a kid drinking alcohol is bad, but I know it's common in Europe. Give kids since they are 6 or 8 years wine to start with the wine tasting. I mean, you're not gonna get them drunk. You're just gonna get them started in the business, in the wine business. And you'll be amazed. I have data of how many sodas we have for a year against wine. Is just something amazing. So this taboo of drink is bad is very strong in Mexico, and people see it like, oh no, if you drink wine every day, you're an alcoholic. I mean, if you go to a doctor, I have gone to a doctor, and they ask me, how many days a week you drink? I said, every day, a glass of wine. Then you're an alcoholic. Next time you have to go to the AA center. That's how we perceive the wine tasting. Sometimes they tell me, no, we're more open in wine, and I say as a joke, yeah, try to go and open a bottle of wine in the middle of a park or in a mall, and first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna arrest you. Second thing, everybody's gonna look at you and it's gonna say, it's just Tuesday, you're drinking, you're not gonna go back to the office. So it's very different from what Europe it is. So and Mexican wine has a very short story. Mexican wine really starts in even though they have the vineyards since 1500s, is Casa Madero, 1600, but the real good production of Mexican wine, you can say, it just started last century, in the 1970s. After in the 1920s, established Domecq, Santo Tomas, and Cheto, which are the biggest one right now, and they start like the 70s was the first cheap wine they produced, Domecq, and it was a very good promotion, a very good project. It wasn't a good wine, but it was a cheap, easy to get, and the magic of this wine is you wouldn't even need the screwdriver. It was a pop-up cap. So for people with a low middle class who doesn't even have a screwdriver at that time, it was great. This was the first opening to the for most people to the wine, to the world of wine, and that's just in the 70s. So if we take a look, we have only 50 years seriously drinking or taking wine as a serious matter in Mexico. Before that, wine was only for very rich people, was only French or Spain wine, Spanish. So it started with this, with the cheap wine. It was very funny because the first thing was the cheap wine, and in the 80s, Montechanic came with an expensive wine, so cover the other side of the market, and that helped a lot. Those two things help a lot to commercialize Mexican wine and get to know it, because before that nobody knew about it. And after that, in the 90s, Hugo de Acosta started with the author wine, which was another good thing they did for Mexican wine. But in the end, like I said, we have only 50 years, and those 50 years it's been like taste and error, you know, because wines were salty in the beginning, and instead of using that salty grounds of Baja California, of Ensenada, and make strong wines, they didn't know how to handle it. And if you taste wines from the 80s and 90s, were very salty. And they were, I don't like Mexican wines from Ensenada because they're salty. Okay, now they knew how to handle that part, and they're using with their favor, and they're making very good wines. That is the Cantos. That is one of the newest wine cellars. Has a restaurant and a cellar in the bottom, and they are using now gravity. Gravity is very new for vineyards. They used to use pumps and everything just some years ago. That Santo Tomas is the first one that use the gravity. They have the ramp for the trucks upstairs, and they let the grape drop. And this was built in the 70s, 80s. So everything is quite brand new, and everything was experimenting and tasting and error. Right now, yes, we have a little bit of modern wineries. It has become a very a very known place in Ensenada, and Enoturism has a strong followers. Every time more people want to go there, but still I think we're in diapers according to wine. This is another winery. This is Alquimia. This is so beautiful. It has 4 floors. Everything is gravity, and all the design is very eclectic. And their wines are based on the elements and the earth, wind, fire, water, and everything kind of mystical. It looks like a UFO landed there. But I think we're going big steps, but it has still a lot of rock to back here, to a lot of market. But we have to understand that part of the culture is very well. It's a hard wall to drop, because it's very strong in Mexico. Before that, before all our Mexican wines, we were used to whole world. Of course, like I said, Spain and France were the main wine importers here. Actually, for the 100% of wine we consume, still around 38% is from Spain, and around 40% is from Mexico these days. But we are used to get that kind of wine, the wine from Spain, the wine from the whole world. And what is what I mean with that, a lot of wood. Our grandparents are used to this great reserve, wood in the wines. That's what our grandparents used to drink. It's not the same today, but we still have that part still arranged to our culture. Our tradition is what we have had. You still, some days people ask me about if they still doing wine this way, if they still doing wine with the fig. It's very funny because a guy want to put a wine and that's a way to do it here. And I said, you're going to spend a lot of money and your wine is going to be horrible. But still people think that's the old tradition, the old way to do it with the food. Take a lot of wood, leave it for many years in the barrels. And that's the idea they have of making a good wine. Sometimes you said, no, these days you can ferment in bricks, you can ferment in plastic, you can ferment in iron, you can ferment even in old clay. And people are, really, can you do that? Yes, we have done it since the old world. So people are not very familiar with the process of the wine. They just, well, like most things, like meat or everything, just go to the market and buy it. No, they're not have the culture of how it's done from the ancient world. No, and that's very nice because that's an angle we have, because when we show them, when we show all this behind the wines, all the work, all the labor, if you ferment it in clay or in wood or something, people will say, wow, they start to understand all the work that is behind it. Here in Mexico, try to do a lot of wine tasting with enologists and with the owners of the vineyards, so they can tell and they can express what is behind it. It's not just the process; it's all the passion they put, all the effort they put on it, and that's something that the Mexican market has to embrace, has to know, and that helps a lot to consume and to get to know the wine. So the old world wines is a tradition we have here, but we need to explode it. We need to let it know. All these down caves, all this stuff here in Mexico, we don't have. We have the new wineries, modern wineries. That's why always I can say all wines, European wines, have been preferred in Mexico since the colonizations. Because, like I said, over here these days, over 38%, 40% of Spanish, and that's what our parents used to drink. And wine has always been aspirational, of course. This is for a Mexican, this is the wine world. It ends and begins there. There's no more. When I said we have wines from Croatia, Moldavia, they say that exists. They don't even know that. But that's an advantage you have with the France, Spain, and Italy wines. Actually, Italy wines started in Mexico just a few years ago. They don't have many time. People are not very familiar with Italy wines yet. They start to getting to know them. Not even say Portugal wines or German wines. They don't know anything about it. So wine has always been aspirational, of course, and wine has always been like only like the Roman says for gods. It's a god gift for kings, and that has made a big trouble. It's a double blade here, because we want to offer and we want to, how to say, I use this word a lot, land wine, make it terrenal to everybody, but at the same time, people are afraid of wine. They're afraid of ask. They're afraid of not knowing, and instead of opening themselves, they see it like, this is too high. I better not ask. So it's our job as sommeliers here, and that's what we try to do: culturize and help people approach to the wine without that fear, and see it as a part of a meal, something common. Yes, Italian established in Mexico, that's El Aceto, but they establish and they make most French grapes. So actually Italian grapes, Nebbiolo is very good in Mexico, but it starts in 1990s, 2000. And just 10 years ago, they start to cultivate Italian grapes and start to make, and I'm talking about Ceto, which is the biggest one. But yeah, coming back. So yes, we try to make wine more approachable, more as a friend, not as afraid of. And that's a double-edged, I think, because you don't want to take down the wine that much. Wine still has to have his place, and has to have his be part of an important meal or whatever, but also can be part of an everyday meal, and that's what people in Mexico don't see like. So if you drink wine, if you know about wine, you're like, oh, you're something else, no? That's why people see it. And they also are afraid to ask for it, because if you ask for a sommelier in a restaurant, the first thing you know is an very old guy is going to come, and he's going to try to sell you the more expensive wine he has, and much probably you wouldn't even like it, and you wouldn't even know what it was, and just be spending a lot of money on it. So people rather not to ask the sommelier. And sometimes sommeliers do that. Is not rightest or honest thing to do, because a brand pays you, or because you have to increase the check per person. But try to sell you sometimes things that are not going with the food, or are not going with the things that you order, or with your taste, your particular taste. As a sommelier, I will ask first, how do you like the wines? And second, what are you gonna eat? And that's something that sommeliers sometimes don't do here in Mexico. This is very strange. So people are afraid of this guy, old guy, telling you what to drink. And they don't ask. They just say, bring me whatever you want. And most of the times they're not happy with the sommelier's decision because of this. But some restaurants, some waiters I have teach, I said it's funny because people ask if you want a raw meat. If you want a meat, you ask if you want it raw or blue point or medium. And if you don't know what a medium or a raw, you'll ask. But if you don't know, if they ask you the wine you want it with a lot of tannins or a lot of acidity, and you don't know, you won't ask because you're afraid to be exposed, and that's very difficult to understand, to make people lose the fear. But luckily, we have women in Mexico. Well, I think all over the world don't have fear of that, and I love that. Women do ask for us to say, I don't know, tell me what's acidity, what is tannins, why, and why are you doing this? And that's huge. So women these days make the decisions of what to want, what to buy, what to choose. Women, when you see them in restaurants, they have wine in their tables more than men. women are not afraid of have a pink or a white wine in the table. Men are, and it's like you'll never see two men with a pink bottle of wine in the table, and that's great. Women are taking the lead in this and helping a lot to lose that fear and to bring wine to new tasting, to new horizons, and to experiment, you know. And that's great. That happens with tequila. Women make the tequila, position like the tequila in the 80s because women start drinking tequila in Mexico, and that's what helped the tequila industry. Because before the 80s, tequila was for men. Suddenly, women start drinking tequila, and tequila goes like foam to the roof. And hopefully, that's what happened to wine right now. So, of course, and I don't want to sound despecting in any reasons. Women have different taste for wine than men, and women are more sensitive to wine and have a different sensibility, more sensibility for wines. So that's a very good thing we can explore. Thinking of wines for women, different. Speaking about the flavor, speaking about whites and pinks, because men don't usually do that. And speaking a lot of stuff, we can get into that market. And women, yes, of course, rosés, pinks from Mexico will be great. I've done wine tasting for women on Saturday 9 a.m. Bubbles, of course, and champagne tasting, and they're so pleased and glad, and they love it. So that's a very good opportunity for a wine market. In my experience, in all my classes, in all my travels, in everything I do, all my wine experiences, 80% of my market are women. And the 20% rest that are men, 10 of them were bought by the woman just by force. They didn't expect to be there. The woman took him by force. So that's a very good opportunity for us for the wines. Another one is the millennials. Millennials are difficult to understand, and they're more relaxed. They're not afraid of the wine. They don't see it like a gift from the gods, but they don't see it as aspirational. Also, sometimes they just give the same if they have a coffee, a tea chai, a glass of wine, or a blend of cucumber, quinoa, and I don't know what else they put in, something vegan, of course. So, and they ask all the time if the wine is vegan, if it's organic. So they always kind of concerned because sometimes it's just the fashion, sometimes they're concerned. But there are a few vegans that like wine, and they are into this, starting this world of wine. So that's another good opportunity for millennials. They drink wine. They don't mind about the pose. You see, they don't mind about the glass. They just want to take it to a relaxed way, and that's good. That's a great part of it. Take it that way, just as a part of wine. Lose the fear. Lose the gift from God. And how do we reach vegans? How do we reach millennials? How do we reach youngsters? Well, with vegan wines, with organic wines, labels, grapes. They don't know and they don't care about the wood this time. That's part of a past. They forgot about reserve or great reserve. They don't care about that. They care about the grape, what kind of grape, and that's more like a New World wines. All New World wines have label what grape you have on. That's the main thing. And all world, you have the region, and you have to know what grapes are the region. So they're looking for a very soft, not soft, easy to drink wines, not complex, not wood, fruity, every day. And that's another great opportunity to take that easy to drink wines and have them. That's a very good opportunity too. I have put some labels there that I found it very funny, but a lot of my students sometimes call me and is, what do you think about this wine? I don't know, I haven't tasted. Why do you bought it? Because I love the label. It's like, gosh, you cannot buy something for the label, but they do. There's like the zombie wine, and I'm sure everybody wants that is a fan of the series will buy the zombie wine just because of the label. So that will help here too. The marketing is always a very strong tool to sell. And that being said, just think about fruity, not very alcohol, not very full body, medium body, low body wines can be very well accepted in youngsters here in Mexico. Francis Vin de Merde, yeah, sure, of course. Now we have the food. Food is a big theme. Food, as you know, food has been recognized for UNESCO as the patrimony, world patrimony, the Mexican food and the French food. And Mexican food has so many complexities, so many spices and flavors and stuff. So wine is hard to pair with food. Mexican wines are getting to know it, of course, and they're working a lot of it. But I don't know if you know mole. Mole is a very common dish. It's a dish that has over 200 ingredients. It takes a week to make it. It has sweet, has chocolate, it has all kind of chiles, it has tortilla, it has rice, it has everything on it. So it's a feast of flavors that can easily wipe up any wine. You need a very strong wine, very complex wine, and I'm not talking about food, I'm talking about a lot of grapes, a lot of mixtures, a lot of stuff. Yes, sorry, intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Yes, that's the word. Sorry. And so that's another thing we have to think about. Even though the first thing we thought when we want to pair is meat as a Mexicans. The first thing we see, this wine will go with the meat with grease or no grease, or with a barbecue or with a stove, whatever. But always think about meat. And the second thing we think is mole. Will it go with mole? And that's the hard part. Mole or chile nogada or a simple green chili sauce. But it turns out that the marriage with these dishes is hard. Speaking about red wines, but speaking of white wines, we have more place to do it. Even though white wines are not very common or not a lot consumed in Mexico, they pair more with Mexican food because of the spicy. Mexican food, we tend to put everything high acidity. We tend to put lime to everything. So white wines are perfect for a ceviche, for a pozole, for any soup, for any broth we have. White wines go spectacular. So we have to, that's our job, to try to more in the white wine mood, people. And every time I teach, I do exercise, and they end up seeing that you can pair everything with wine, and not everything. Red is very limited to the food. So that being said, I think we have a lot of market for new wines. Of course, it had to be high acidity, had to be a lot of fruits and and herbs and flowers. They have to be wines with character, with power to get to the food, but they could go very good. Always fruity. They always look for fruity. Actually, that's the first thing somebody tells you. How do you want your wine? I want it fruity. And I say everything is fruity. It comes from a fruit, but that's what everybody wants. And the other thing is besides the high alcohol, high acidity, we're looking for the meal. Also, the other thing that helps a lot is the bubbles. The bubbles. We are a country of bubbles. We're used to have a Coke on the table or a beer on the table, always. The bubbles are not are very common for us, are very familiar, but we don't have also culture of wines with frisantes or cavas or champenois. We don't know what that is. When I say it's different kinds of a bubble, different sizes, different types, people don't understand that part, but we are familiar with it. So precisely mole that you need something like I said, at least you need 3 grapes. This is the most sell wine in Mexico, 3B, common Cabernet, Merlot, and Shiraz, but it can go with most of the Mexican food, especially mole. But bubbles can go with mole too. Bubbles, a good champagne, a prosecco or a cava goes spectacular with spice, with the chili and with mole. People doesn't know that, but once they try it, they get in love with it. So we can aim to that too. That part of the is taking just out of the soda and put a wine with bubbles in the table is just great. Just for you to know, the average consumption for a person in Mexico of wine is 1 liter a year. The average consumption of soda, all of them, Coke, Sprite, and whatever, for a person a year are 250 liters. And 250 against 1 is just, that's what I'm saying. We have to take out that out of the table and put wine instead of it. But that is dealing with the culture, with religion, with our backgrounds, grandfather backgrounds, and it's tough, but it can be done. It's being done slowly, but it's being done. You see that there's a ordinary family, they eat with Coke every day. It's like normal. That's why it's 250 liters a year per person. And beer is 70 liters a year per person. So we're still a long way to go. Even spirits are among 4 to 6 liters a year per person. So wine is just 1 liter, it's nothing. As I said before, we have a lot of rock to dig or to pick, but it's a lot of rock. It's a lot of, so we still have a lot of people to get to educate about wine. So that's the good thing. Just get to know them. Know that these days we have women as a good help. We have youngsters and millennials. We have to approach them in a different way, but it can help us too. And we have to position wine as different as spirits. That's the thing. People here in Mexico say, okay, I pay, I don't know, $20 for a bottle of wine, but I can pay $20 for a bottle of tequila, and a bottle of tequila will be enough for me and 3 more friends get drunk. That's how the people think. But that's not the point. The point is not you getting drunk. The point is you can enjoy your wine, and then you can enjoy your tequila differently. I mean, and obviously comparison, the price is always, there's a price involved, but I think it's a matter of education. It's a matter of cultural differences. Yes, we are used to, like I said before, spirits. We don't see wine as wine. We see wine as an alcoholic beverage, dangerous alcoholic beverage, and we should see it as food. We should see it as a part of a daily meal. We should see it as a common thing that even kids can drink. I do a lot of wine experience and things, and all the major events. I'll do events for 2, 3, 5, 10,000 people when we have a lot of wines. Many of these in Mexico, they don't even allow kids to go in. And I said, why? Because it's an alcoholic beverage. I have gone with my little child and I said, you cannot go in because she's under 18. And she was 8 months old and said, she's not going to drink. She's coming with me. But anyway, that narrow-minded we still have. We have to change it. I try to do in these events always activities for kids. Step on grapes, feel grapes, eat grapes. I'm not encouraging to people to give them wine when they're in their age, because that's against the law, still against the law here. But people start doing. I'm surprised and I'm happy when sometimes I have an exercise when they mix. I have a Cabernet Merlot, Shiraz, and another grape, Tempranillo, and you make your mix. And I have had a couple of women that say to their kids, 10-year-old, 12-year-old kids, you taste it, do it for your father and make a gift. And that feels so great that see the kid doing. Of course, he's gonna make the fruitiest thing he can because he doesn't like it, but we have to start there. We have to start with the kids. We have to start losing that bad thing and that religion and that all that taboos of the wine with the kids. And if not with the kids, at least with the youngsters. Now starting to change the youngsters and the millennials and the youngsters to come, that wine is part of a meal. Wine is not gonna make you bad if you drink one cup a day. Is healthy, and it's gonna be good for everybody. And these days I'll try to associate a lot of the drink with also the wine with the business. That's another thing very important here. We see wine just for the meal with the date. That's how I'm most perceive wine. I'm with a meal. I'm gonna have this date, and I order a fine bottle of wine. But it's important for business, and people doesn't look like that. If you have a business meeting and you don't know about wine, or you make a wrong decision, I think that could hurt a negotiation. And that's an angle I'm trying to explode here too, and make people think and see that wine is part of a culture. It's not just know what you drink or what you pair. It's a whole world involved in wine. The whole thing that has moved the world. Wine has moved the world for centuries, and there's a lot of interest and there's a lot of stories around it. And it's just basic culture. It's not just drinking. It's part of a basic culture. So we're doing our best here. We're trying to do our best, and I hope that some of this cultural and get to know the people and the food in Mexico help you to select and think what to bring here. And of course, we and all the sommeliers here will be happy to help you anytime in anything to make this world of wine better for our country.
Thank you very much, Yves. Thank you very much. That was very deep. We went very deep into the Mexican culture and how the wine is perceived, but it's just a matter of perception. And this is what we, the sommeliers here, need to to change. For our members, the wine growers, I think they're interested also in, other than understanding how the Mexican consumption works, there is another important portion as a Mexican, out of the COVID, of course, is a very touristic country. Touristic country, and this helps to have a higher consumption of wine, because this will be in La Paz, Los Cabos, in Tijuana, all the travel locations here in the Riviera Maya. I mean, I don't know, there are thousands of restaurants and a lot of wine distributors. So what we want to understand, and they want to understand, is, okay, we first need to make a selection of what are the types that can work. After the selection is made, how can an agent help them to introduce their wines to the importers and to the distributors? Or this is another part that would help them gaining this market, because there is a market and the drinking is increasing. 10 years ago, people were drinking like 500 milliliters of wine per year, and now it's increasing to 1 to 1.5. And I think by the end of the year, with people staying at home and watching series where people is drinking wine all the time, we will move to the 2 liters.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, of course. I was speaking mainly of the city. Yeah, I miss a little bit, and I saw a lot of importers are into Cancun and all this touristic. That works a bit differently, because it's, when you go out of the city, you just, as a Mexican, you say, I have $5,000 in my pocket, and I'm gonna spend it all. So you don't take. You don't care about prices that much. You just like wanted to enjoy, and even the Mexicans behave differently in this aspect. So, and the weather is different, of course. Then you look for roses or whites because of the heat. It's difficult to get reds, but in any of the cases. We have to make an analysis, like you said. Where are your wines going to? What kind of wines you have? No, like we have discussed this Provence thing a lot, you and me, and that will go to a place with a hot place, a cold place, a place that it won't matter that much the price, or a place with they have a lot of thinking of the price. What kind of restaurants, and that being done after that analysis, yes, I think you have to contact somebody here that helps you with not only wine tastings, a lot of stuff to do. I mean, I do wine tasting, but it's the less I do. I do a lot of events, different events, opera with wine, theater with wine, painting with wine, massive events, and people always want to look for that. Like you said, with the COVID, it's very hard. Actually, most of us are kind of out of work this year because we're just from home doing whatever we can, but it's not the same, of course. And yes, you have to do the market research, the segmentation, the analysis, where you go with that wine, and then find somebody here to help you and do different stuff. And if we're going for women, then make events for them. If you're going for youngsters, go to different taverns or bars or different places and associate wines, maybe even cocktails with wines that people are like, you can do that? They don't know. We have done cocktails with cherries and people love them. And sometimes it's not the best thing to do. I mean, Clericot is like the most consumed thing in Mexico, but it's a start. At least it's a start. No, Lambruscos is like, oh, Lambrusco is good or is bad. I don't know, but it's a start. People are starting with something, and sweetie,
Exactly.
bubbles, or fruity, or with fruit, or with ice on it. But let's start with something. Then they will evolve. They will evolve. They will look for something else every time, and they will reach for more complexity and more wines. But that's a way to start in Mexico with cocktails, with clericot, with fruity and stuff like that, and events all the
Okay.
time.
So, okay. So, do we have questions for Eve? Do you have more specific questions or things that you would like to know? Anyone, please? Enrique, do you have any comments or things that you would like to add? Because I know you're from Mexico, right?
Also, you can share something.
A ver, yes, sí, sí. Maybe he's shy.
Do you see
Okay.
pet nat on the market?
Natural, Petillon Natural. It's natural wine. You know, when wine still ferments in your bottle, so it creates more bubbles. Le Pet Natural. No, I haven't seen Pet Nat here. There is a retailer called Vinos Chidos. And Vinos Chidos, they have, they all the time search for original wines, and they can have Pet Nat. But I went to different wine retailers in Mexico City in October, and there was no lockdown. And I was a little bit disappointed because it's the same wines in all the places. I mean, it's like there is a monopoly of all the importers. They all share the same wines. At least this is the impression, because the same wines that I saw in Palacio de Hierro, I was expecting a super cave. I was very disappointed to see that it was the same that I find here in Chedraui. The Chedraui is like the Walmart.
Yeah, you find the
So
same
this
ones.
is the variety that we are lacking. And what is happening is that it's only the big companies are sharing the market here. And more difficulty, the small wineries, or can small wineries or vignerons indépendants have the possibility of selling wines in Mexico? And what would we need to do, we at the SPVA, j'arrive pas à le dire.
Well,
APDSA.
the thing is, of course, everybody wants to get into the big markets, into the Soriana or Europea or stuff, because that sale is secure. Well, secure to a certain point, because I had a friend that got into Sam's Club, and 3 months later, Sam's Club tell him, "Get back your wine. We don't sell it," and he broke because they returned him over 4 million in wine. But there are these days. One example is a friend of mine is called Patty. She brings wines from Croatia. She's the only one in Mexico, and she doesn't sell at all in any store. Only restaurants or internet people to people, and she's doing very well. So there's a market for that too. There's a market. You can, all the events she's in, any event that you heard, always she's in, and that's her marketing. But you're never gonna see a Croatian wine in a big store, and that's what she want to do. And she's doing it great. She's been like 8 years in Mexico, and she's very well known by now. Everybody knows about Croatian wines, and it's one girl doing it. She's doing it by herself. So that's a possibility. Like well, I mentioned it, these days, the internet and the Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff helps a lot, because you can sell through there, you can have a store in there, and you don't need to deal with the big markets and credits, and sometimes the possibility of they just returning you millions of pesos in wine and go broke, Here is Nicolas, what about American wines? Well, American wines are starting to be very well known and very well accepted in Mexico and everywhere, Riviera and Mexico. Before, like I said, we have only the idea of old world, Spain and French wines. American wines didn't have a label. I don't know if, for example, Chilean wines have the label or cheap wines. They think Chilean wines and they immediately think cheap. Spain wines, they immediately think oak. American wine doesn't have yet a specific label, but they're starting to try and they're very good. So they're starting to have a very good acceptance on Mexican market everywhere.
Yes, they are not among the cheapest.
No.
I mean, when I buy wine, I said you will see the better prices will be Chile and Spain.
Yeah, of course.
Next, I will put maybe Argentinian and American.
And Italy.
Then yes, and Italy has good prices too. And then you move to French, which are the most expensive. And this is simply the cost of living in France, I think.
Exactly.
That makes them more expensive.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, like Enrique says, it's complicated because people think wine is just for rich people. Exactly. That's the perception they have. But that's an opportunity to teach them and have wine to everybody. So that's why I'm not against Chilean cheap wines, because at least somebody has $5 can buy a wine in any store. That's good too. That's the way to start. At the end, they are good. That's a good thing. Dark Horse and Mondavi, yes, we have them here, and Mondavi are great.
Okay, merci beaucoup. Do you have more questions for the audience about the Mexican wine? So you need to come to visit us in Mexico because everything is open, and honestly, so restaurants are open only 60%, so it's not like in the past, but not in Mexico City. I mean, in the Caribbean. Here in the Caribbean, you have very good weather and everything, and try Mexican wines. Next time we will do a presentation of Mexican wine.
Yeah, that'll be great. And that's a lot of stuff to know about Mexican wines.
Yes, there are not too many, but the ones that I've tasted are very good.
Yeah. Well, they are these days. I mean, it's not French or Spain at all, or US, but we have grown a lot in these 15 years. There's a lot. There's over 200 vineyards, houses these days. So, like,
how many?
Over 200.
Okay.
If you're thinking in the 80s, they broke and there were only 10 to 240 years, there's a lot. So.
And when I was a kid, it was Pedro Domecq and Padre Quino, and that's it. Exactly. And the French wines. And Spanish wines.
Padre Quino, French wines, and Spanish wines. That was it.
Okay. Thank you very much. That was very insightful. And whoever has questions, I will share Eve's email to everyone. So if you're interested in having information, yes, Lacheto. Lacheto is one of the big ones.
Cheto is the biggest one.
Yes, it's Lacheto, and they have yes, very large premises, and yes, they're very big actors.
Yeah, they sell 40% of the whole Mexican wine is from Cheto. And
yeah, it's one of my teachers. What's her name? I don't remember. A lady from was a teacher of mine. Whatever. Okay. Bueno. Thank you very much. Gracias a todos.
Thank you.
Take good care of yourselves.
Thank you. See you here. Hopefully.
Gracias, Steve.
Thank you.
And yes, Pascal, do you want to say something?
Thank you. It was very interesting. I'm ready for sell the wine in Mexico now.
Excellent.
I understand.
We'll be here ready for it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pascal.
Gracias. Bye.
Bye.